Welcome to Simply Robotics, the podcast, a podcast exploring the animation industry one episode at a time. I'm your host, Monique. You can find me on all social media platforms at Simply Robotics, SimplyRobotix. When listening to the show, use the hashtag SimplyRoboticsPod to join in the conversation. In today's episode, we will have a brief interview with founder of Queen City Film Festival, New Jersey, Lamar Mackson. DiverseToons will have a panel during the festival. The festival is October 25th and 26th in New Jersey. He'll be talking a little bit about what he does, how he got started the festival, why he started the festival, and things you can expect. Then after that quick interview, we're going to get into the Women Taking the Lead panel audio. Originally, this panel was called Women in Multimedia. We had this panel, this is a DiverseToons panel, we had this back in November 2018. However, now for anyone who was unable to attend that event, the panel audio will be here for you to listen to and collect your gems. So let's get started. Yes, so as I said earlier, I have the founder of Queen City Film Festival in New Jersey, Lamar David Mackson, here with me. Thank you, Lamar, for joining me.
Yes, Monique. Give thanks. So good to be with you and DiverseToons. I'm really excited about the whole Simply Robotics movement, and it's just a pleasure to be here tonight.
And I understand that you are currently not even out of town, but out of the country, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I'm currently on the south coast of Jamaica,
Oh, okay.
visiting with family and friends, and recharging. I just celebrated my 50th birthday on Wednesday, so I'm here, just reconnecting with nature before I have to get back into the grind. Next
Right.
week, as you already know, next week is a big week. The second annual Queen City Film Festival is about to take flight on Friday, October 25th, and will land with a bang on October 26th, the following Saturday. So I got to get back and get to work.
Yeah. And so I'll say happy birthday to you. And again, thank you for doing this while you're on your birthday trip. So for people that don't know, this is your second year. And can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started with the film festival?
Right. So I'm a film and television producer by trade. That's what I've been doing for the better part of the last 20 years. I've worked on a lot of different projects, and I've had the blessing to work in and out of different genres of production, purely from behind the scenes. And so I'm really a producer's producer in that fact. From reality to news, to prime time to sports. I've pretty much done it all, and had fun doing it over the years. And so, saying all of that to say that I was urged at a certain point to start creating my own work. And so I started building with like-minded creatives in the New Jersey and New York area, and started putting out product, started creating content, going back years. Probably the last 4 or 5 solid years of just producing work after work after work. And so, with that kind of pace, I found myself with a lot of projects that I had, that I was promoting all over the country. I was, entering as a filmmaker, entering different various film festivals, and having success and experiencing failure, and getting a lot of no's along the way. And so, part of the creation of the Queen City Film Festival, is that, one, I wanted to be able to offer my neighbors, my friends, my family an opportunity to watch my films and to see them, for what the value it was, and also because it was places that they could recognize, because we film primarily in Plainfield, New Jersey. That's where I'm from. And so I try to utilize my town and my neighborhoods and my area and people who are from that region to work on these films. So the idea of us putting together the first uh, film festival, Queen City Film Festival, was last year. And it was really a showcase of five or six of our films that we had produced. And I say we, and I mean the core founders of the film festival, myself, Patrick Coker, uh, the great Patrick Coker, I should add. He's a writer on BET, the great show Tales on BET, and Jamal Hodge and Okima Moore. So these people came together with me, and a lot of them are part of these films that we were screening last year. And, to make a long story short, it was such a success. And people were so exhilarated by, being able to see not only films made in their areas, but also to interact with the filmmakers. It was something new that people had never really experienced before in that area. So because I was familiar with it and had done it, dozens and dozens of times over, half a decade or more, I decided that it was something that the community needed. And after talking to lots of people, I kind of realized that we were the ones to do it. So that's pretty much the birth of Queen City Film Festival. And here we are in our second year. And again, we started with five films that we produced locally. And this year, 2019, we had well over 90 submissions. And I think we were able to whittle that down to 52 films. So really a tremendous amount of growth over a year's time. The first festival was in July of 2018. So we did push it back a little bit. We've been able to create a space in New Jersey, in the central New Jersey area, which is in the cradle of New York, the home of television and film production. And which is funny because New Jersey, actually, and only minutes away from Plainfield, New Jersey, is the home of celluloid and cinema as we know it. The great Thomas Edison was from Edison, New Jersey, in Menlo Park, and he created that. That's only 15 minutes from Plainfield.
Thank you. And what can people, like, without any spoilers or anything, what can they look forward to on Friday and then on Saturday? Maybe just a little bit of like your lineup.
Oh man, I mean, it's just outstanding what's happening this year. The lineup is just incredible. I mean, we open up Friday, and again, trying to program 52 films in the course of 48 hours is quite a feat. And also making the tough decision to not accept so many wonderful films. And so many talented filmmakers who we just could not fit into the time frame, who we had to decline. But starting off at 8 a.m., we get rolling on Friday, October 25th, with those cornerstone films that I spoke of from year one. And we kick that off with a founders block at 8 o'clock in the morning. And directly and immediately, and we're talking about films all day and all through the night. And in between those screenings, we have a number of panels on day one. Uh, I think we have two very exciting panels, and I can give this away. 9 a.m. October 25th, we are doing a short documentary presentation entitled Jersey Grown Documentaries. Five great documentaries from filmmakers throughout New Jersey and New York. And we also have a very special host, Cortland Bragg, who is a two-time Emmy Award-winning filmmaker and producer. He works with NFL Films, and he is a young man. I mean, he's like 27 years old, and has such an amazing accomplishment list already. And young brother from South Jersey who's coming to interact with the youth, who we've also invited to that opening screening event. Uh, and and then on day two, we get down to the nitty gritty of a real hardcore block starting at about 10 a.m., going through to our first panel of the day, which is the Diverse Tunes panel, as you know, which is going to be outstanding. And really, for those who are listening, they already know about the animation connection here. It's important to note that there aren't many film festivals that support animation and that even present their work. And in coming up with this idea, um, I thought to myself, well, we're out there, we're doing this work. Why don't we have a screening opportunity? And lo and behold, when I said that, you guys sort of popped up into my feed somehow. And I started following Diverse Tunes and Simply Robotics and really tapping into what you guys were talking about on your end, and where the synergy lies, and that we are all a part of the same industry needing to support one another, and also illuminating the fact that these talents exist within the industry. So I thought that day two would be a great opportunity for us to talk about that issue, as well as show the great work of some very, very talented animators of color and of different gender. And I think day two is just going to be off the hook because that's the first half of day two. So and then again, we have so many wonderful films.
So, we're not going to keep you too much longer. Can you tell the listeners how they can buy tickets and just learn more about the festival? What are your social medias, the websites, like everything like that?
Sure. So we can be found and followed on Facebook, Instagram, at Queen City Film Fest NJ. Um, and the NJ is really important because we want to represent New Jersey first. Um, and and again, one of the things that I want to make mention here is that our operation is a give back organization, and an organization that wants to create opportunities for not only filmmakers that are developing and already in their groove as filmmakers in whatever role they play, whether it be in cinematography or directing or writing or and producing. Um, but this film festival is also an opportunity for us to give back to students, to the young people of the community who are looking for direction and opportunity. And so we have developed a nonprofit organization called the Queen City Film and Television Workshop, which is dedicated to providing just those opportunities for young students. We are going to mentor, and we've partnered with the Plainfield Public Schools and the Board of Education and the Superintendent's Office to create this opportunity for young people through the Queen City Film and Television Workshop. So, what we're going to do is we're creating a filmmakers club, a future filmmakers club, which is going to be a free program for young people interested either in writing, directing, acting, cinematography, makeup, and other behind the scenes work. We're going to provide them with access to equipment as well as established professionals like yourself, Miss Monique,
Yeah.
and and give them the tools, not only the tools but the example, the living, breathing examples of what it means. You know, when we grew up, when you were growing up, you knew policemen and you knew doctors, lawyers, but you never really knew per se a television producer or a cinematographer or an assistant director. And if young people had those opportunities more, they would see the value, not just being in front of the camera, like so many young people want to, but that there is a vast world behind the scenes that can provide years, if not a lifetime, of joy and finances for your retirement. So, through the Queen City Film and Television Workshop, which is a certified 501c3 nonprofit organization registered in the state of New Jersey, we want to offer free access through those services, and also add on that a strengthening with college advisement and letting kids know what the best college programs are for film and television production, how they can access the scholarships and financing to make that move to the higher education platform. And then also, once they get out of school and when they're developing their career path, we can advise them not only on career guidance but also career placement, because this is what we do. We're actually a professional organization that's been doing this for quite some time, and the film festival is a way for us to give back to not only the film lovers and filmmakers and all of the independents that are out there struggling, but also to the young people, as a means to add extra light on the path that can be so dark as a young person sometimes.
Can't wait to see you. Can't wait to see the rest of the production crew that's been putting the festival together, and just to have this experience. I'm happy that we're able to come together and do this. So thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your trip.
Absolutely.
Again, that was Lamar Mackson, founder of Queen City Film Festival, New Jersey. If you are interested in getting tickets, we have a discount code for you. It is DiverseToons1. With that code, you will get 50% off your ticket. Did you hear that? 50% off your ticket. Our panel will be at 11 a.m. Saturday, October 26th in New Jersey at the Queen City Film Festival. Now let's get into our main event. Formerly known as Women in Multimedia, now known as Women Taking the Lead, this was the November 2018 DiverseToons panel. Make sure you have your pens and paper to take your notes, or if you are, a modern person with a smartphone, use the notes app on your phone, use your email to take your notes. I don't know what you do. But yeah, let's get into the next part of the show. So again, my name is Monique Henry-Hudson. I graduated from SVA's Computer Art Department with my BFA in 2011. I'm a visual artist and animation blogger. Most recently, I worked at Blue Sky alongside these two ladies right here up until this spring, and then I left there to do the panel, to work closer to New York City, and just continue some of my other ventures. So if you are on social media and you tweet or just mention us, please use the hashtag DiverseToons or at us on Instagram and Twitter. So I'll start over with my left. Over here, we have Lauren Stevens. She's a skilled film editor with over 9 years of media production experience. She's the founder and video editor of LAS Directions, and she's currently a second assistant editor at Blue Sky Studios. Woo! Yeah! To my immediate left, we have Namisha Kumar. She's an associate production manager currently at Blue Sky Studios, where she's working with the rigging department on the upcoming film Nimona, and that's in 2020. Prior to this, she worked in various departments, including layout, animation, and design, while working on Ice Age 5 Collision Course, that was 2016, and Ferdinand 2017. She studied animation and visual effects production management at the Academy of Arts University in San Francisco, and was part of the production staff of the school's in-house VFX studio, Studio 400A. While there, she helped produce visual effects for independent feature films like Approaching the Unknown in 2016 and
Advantageous.
Advantageous.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
In 2015. That's Namisha. And then to my far left, we have Joy Tien. Joy Tien is a CG generalist. She specializes in look development at Buck Design in New York. She has an MFA in computer art from the School of Visual Arts. Her thesis film, Treasure Nest, has won many awards, including Best Animation from Los Angeles Movie Awards in 2014, Best Animation from Bare Bones International Film and Music Festival in 2017, and more. It has also been screened worldwide and showcased in the 2014 exhibition documentary, What's Up Doc? The Animation Art of Chuck Jones at the Museum of Moving Image in Astoria, New York. Her professional skills includes working as a 3D generalist, a visual designer, and a storyboard artist. Joy has also been promoting art and technology for the industry. She was a SIGGRAPH 2014 student volunteer in Vancouver, and now she is a New York City ACM SIGGRAPH board member and a volunteer for Annie. As a visual artist, Joy enjoys bringing imagination to life. Her personal work illustrates the deconstruction of our daily life.
I didn't use Summer read this out loud. I thought this is on the website. And I was like, that's why I wrote a serious one, and now this sounds everything best.
This is the last sentence. I'm almost finished. It's her personal work illustrates the deconstruction of our daily life, and each image allows the viewer to escape reality into the surreal scene. So I'll start with Joy. If there's anything I missed, would you mind elaborating for the audience?
No, it's all good. I'm not from the sky. I'm on from Soho, where my company is. Yeah, I guess.
Lauren, did you want to add anything?
No, you pretty much covered everything.
So then I'll start with Joy Yendo. How did you get into the industry?
I guess tried really hard to submit my resume after I graduate, and then I moved to San Francisco for my first freelance job. And I tried to be an intern at Buck for a while. I tried 4 or 5 times, and I gave up, and I moved to West Coast. And they said, "Oh, we want you back," so I moved back to New York. Yeah, and then I know a lot of people said it's all about who you know, but I do believe equal opportunity because I actually sent my emails to their general inquiries online, and then somehow they have an opening, so that's how I started there, and then it's been 4 years, so it's nothing too crazy. Just do it just online, and then hopefully they reach out.
Was your BFA or your undergrad also in animation or art related?
No, I'm actually international. I came here for my MFA, so it's 10th floor here, study animation. But back in Taiwan, I study fine arts. But if I don't have a rich family, I probably cannot be an artist. So I was trying to figure out what is the best way I can utilize my fine art skill with and also making money. So it's commercial. So I came here for that.
Your turn.
My turn. How I got into Blue Sky Studios 5 years ago. I checked my Facebook message, and a friend from high school reached out, and she was like, "Hey, my job's hiring." So I was like, "Okay." So I sent my resume in, and ultimately, I have a passion for editing, but I was just looking for any opportunity. So I actually took a production assistant position, and from there, I just saw every opportunity that opened up to edit or to just showcase that I was an editor, I would do it. And so I moved up within the management side as a PA, but I worked in the editorial department. So I worked really closely with the editors. I saw the programs that they were using. And at the time, I was really familiar with Final Cut Pro and Premiere, but in most feature film studios, they'll use it Avid Media Composer. So I literally just shut off any knowledge of Premiere and Final Cut Pro, and I would always just learn work on Avid Media Composer. I took lynda.com classes, YouTube, every tutorial I could come across, just to really challenge myself to learn Avid Media Composer. So there were times where the editors were too busy. I would find myself exporting a QuickTime. So they opened up a position and I went for it and I got it. So that's how I got in at Blue Sky Studios. But ultimately how I got in media was just an opportunity came up where I was at church. They were short a camera person. I volunteered to just work on the cameras, and the rest is history.
So I went to school at Academy of Art that had the similar program, kind of close to SVA, which was for Bachelor of animation and visual effects, and so I was a compositor and I kind of double majored in production management. And so we did have an in-house studio where independent filmmakers would come to the studio, bring their films that needed some visual effects work, and they didn't really have a budget or anything to give it to anybody in the industry, but they could give it to us to use to comp, to do anything that they needed, matte painting, create 3D sculpts, do even 3D animated shorts. They would come to us and ask us to do their work. And I got, one of my friends was asking if anybody was interested in being a production assistant for one of his thesis films. And so I started there and then managed up to a few different indie films. And while I was at Academy of Art, Blue Sky came to our school to do like interviews and that sort of thing. And it was Deb Stone and Matt Munn, who is a panelist, also on a past DiverseToons. And so they gave me feedback on my resume, and for their internship program, I had applied while I was still at Academy, and I got it. So that's
Did you finish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Graduated and everything. But yeah, I was in my last semester, and then I got the internship, came out to New York, and I've been here.
And I got started in the industry, I would say ever since I was probably like 11 or 12, I knew I wanted to work in animation. And I did like summer classes, weekend classes, after school classes, all trying to just get a portfolio to ultimately get to SVA. So once in SVA, though, I realized I was more gravitated towards motion capture, and I didn't really want to be an animator anymore. And then by the time I graduated, the studios I wanted to work at were starting to close down. So I was like, okay, now I don't really know what to do. I'm not really a strong animator, and I don't really know how to break into the industry. So just off of survival, I worked a whole bunch of odd jobs. I did like retail down in Union Square. I did Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week, setting up the runway shows. I volunteered and I worked in a movie theater. I did like so many odd things. And ultimately that led me to intern for the New York International Children's Film Festival. And from interning there, I started meeting directors and producers and learned that I could work in like production management and be in the studio without being animator and still be really close. So through the networking that I did while there, I learned and met some people that formerly worked at Blue Sky, and was notified. Also, I worked at SVA, I should say that too, for a couple months. So Blue Sky was coming here for a recruiting event for TVs. And I was like, well, I'm still going to show up even though they're not looking for PAs. And I brought my resume to them. And sure enough, within like a month, I would say that a render PA position opened up. And they were like, oh, well, your resume was here on the like top of the list type of thing. So that's how like I got actually into Blue Sky and got into the industry. But I've always had a passion for it. My mom is here; she can vouch for you. Like I've been drawing a whole bunch of stuff ever since I was a kid, but she just like supported me and let me continue doing all that kind of stuff too. So thanks, Mom. So I would like to. I'll just start with Namisha. What has been your biggest struggle that you faced thus far working in the industry?
Personally, I mean, management is definitely tricky in a lot of ways. Like I've worked with Monique for quite some time, and also with Lauren for a while, and it gets really tricky when you feel like you don't have a voice sometimes when it comes to the filmmaking process, or that you're not creative, and it's not fair because every single one of you is a filmmaker, and it starts from any aspect of, whether you're production, whether you're in IT, like if you know anything about films, like you are going to have an opinion. And I think trying to find my voice in those rooms to be like, you know what, I'm going to call out a note in a very artistically driven meeting because it doesn't matter who this note is coming from, it needs to be heard, and it's for the betterment of the story. So that has definitely been my biggest.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree. That's a huge struggle. And in addition to that, making the jump from the management side to creative, when you're in specifically like at Blue Sky, like they want to keep you on like a specific track. It's like a management track or a creative track. And so it was just really challenging to, have like my peers or like most of the people I would report to, like be comfortable with like I'm handling my management side of the job. But if, I had extra time and opportunities came up, hey, take a look at this cut. The editors were a little bit more flexible than like other departments, but it was just like a huge challenge to just like find the time and also just like opportunity to show that I was an editor.
You have to stay late, and so you finish in management, you spend a couple hours work on the editing.
Exactly.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, struggles.
Yeah,
a lot of struggles. Besides just partially language is an issue, even though I can speak. Sometimes it's the social reference in the back that they talk about some shows like transparent. It's like, what is that transparent? It's a show. And then there's like a lot of things I need to study outside of work when it comes to network and social at the company. But also, for us, we are very design driven. So a lot of voice are basically like determined by the art directors. Because I work for the 3D team, and then mostly I'm executing what they designed and what the 2D team decided to do. So even though like everyone do have a voice, it's pretty flat structure at Buck, but I do learn how to like be more expressive, and also where I'm coming from, like Taiwan, we are very conformative as a entire like country. We don't usually seek for individualists. I think in New York, people like stress about being special, being yourself, but this is something I learned to do here. And then, yeah, I guess it's about finding my soul, I guess. And a lot of technical things, I think it's the same for everyone, I guess. Every year you have to learn new skills that adapts the current trend for pipeline. What is the best way to do look depth and texturing? Now we all learn substance. I remember before we used like Mari, it's like a different software. So it's just about how to adapt yourself to the environment. Yeah, I think that's what I struggle with sometimes.
I think for me, one thing that definitely was a struggle was in being a PA in a department and being in meetings with so many upper management. It's just like you were saying, navigating and finding your voice and wanting to contribute, but not wanting to overstep or knowing your place or your role as a PA. And what was good was I worked in the story department, so my supervisor, I was able to talk to him outside of meetings, and also just having story artists or the directors for the film was Spies in Disguise being physically in story just also helped, and having a good relationship with the lead of story, so that if I didn't feel comfortable in the meeting, just outside the meeting, I know I could approach them or say like whatever. And also Jen is here. I had her as like an additional backbone to be like, no, go on, go say, go whatever. But that's definitely a struggle, I would say, when entering the industry. Is you don't want to seem like you're the young, super aggressive, ambitious person that's just like bulldozing everyone that's there. But you also want to seem like you're paying attention and you're wearing, and you have something to contribute. I would say that was been one struggle. So how would you compare your start to at least how you perceive students are starting now in the industry? Is there any drastic differences that you're noticing?
I feel like for me, I kind of had like the ideal scenario of like what you hope and dream would happen.
And accept
like, yeah, I think so. Because so many of my friends and coworkers, you had to work in the industry, or you had to take oddball jobs. You had to be willing to do anything to get your foot into the door. And for me, I got especially lucky that a company that I was interested in came to the school that I was at, interviewed me there. They got to know me, and then when my resume ended up on a pile, during their interview, their interview process, like they remembered me and they called me in, or not called me in, but they called me on the phone. And then, so I feel like that was like very ideal scenario.
For me, I think what's different now for students is like you have like there's like so much information online now that's like so easy to just like get a hold of. You have YouTube, even if like london.com, like the fees and stuff like that, you can avoid the fees and like just have like a free, just like a whole bunch of different classes that you can literally go to a job interview and they can ask like, do you know these programs? And if you're just saying like, I'm somewhat familiar with them, by the time you have like your second interview, you can take like hours just on YouTube and really just become familiar with some of the programs that you would be using in that role. And I think that that's like a difference nowadays that wasn't always there in previous years.
I think every day is so different. And to me, my dream changes every year. I think I was like you guys at the beginning. I really want to go to big star and big film studios. But lately, as I get older, auto stamina also just feeling like maybe commercial is better for me, because it's more stable, and then you just finish a short project and move on to the next one. But I would say it's not, I feel like for students nowadays, it's one thing that doesn't change is what do you want to do? Like, what's your like deep passion for animation, for game? I don't think if there's so many YouTube videos about what's the software that is current trend and stuff. But I think that doesn't really matter. I think it's about, say you just really want to tell a story, then I think maybe you should study about like scripts, and then how do you craft the best narrative for a film or a short film. And then I think software could be secondary, because every year there's new things coming out. You can never catch up. I think it's about what's, as a person, as an artist, what do you want to say? I think that's kind of general, but that's how I feel, because I heard students talk about, oh, I really want to learn Houdini, and I want to really like the Pixar style. But I think I heard some stories that the recruiters usually looking for your personality, what's inside you that is special, as different than other people who already knew all the special technical skills, but they want to see your essence. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with you and Lauren a lot in just that what seems a little different now than even, I don't know, like 5-6 years ago, was just about the access to, but then also I would say the access to artists, with people being on Twitter and Instagram. It's like all you have to do is watch a show, see the names in the credits, and you can go find them. And just like, you don't need to go to anyone else. You can just like start commenting and liking their stuff. So that accessibility is, I would say, it's changed a lot, and I think people should capitalize off of that without being annoying, for sure.
Yeah. And a lot of the artists.
I have to say that. I have to say, try not to be annoying, but they're pretty receptive, like, you know. So like, go for it.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, and a lot of them offer classes and stuff too. Like their side gig is like helping other people learn their craft. So if you're interested and you want to, like, you really like a certain person's style, if you check out their Instagram, you might notice that they're teaching a class, or they have a Patreon page, or things like that you can get these like little back doors into getting to know them better. And
there's a lot of school in Los Angeles, the CGMA school, and what is the other one? I forgot. But by Pixar, there's another NM school. Students go there and meet the animators for secondary education.
I do know what it is. I should know it. It was our rival school.
Yeah, I forgot the name.
Yeah.
I forgot. But there's so many resources also. That's why I think finding your own voice is difficult. There's so many coming out. You don't know where you are as a person. There's so many. Like, it's hard. Yeah.
My next question is, how has your gender or race played a role in navigating your career, if it has? I'd like to think it probably has.
Coming out.
Whether or not we admit it or not, I feel like it is there, like those invisible things.
How?
I mean, I've often found myself being like the only like Indian person in a lot of these rooms, at least. And it's weird. It's not just that. It's also just like, I'm the only woman in this room. You're looking around and everyone around you is at least 20 or 30 years older than you. And you're like, yes, but okay. I'm like, you're looking at characters. You're talking about their motivation in a lot of these areas. And you're like, but nobody here actually knows what it's like to be a 16-year-old girl. I was like, I went through that. I could probably have a better sense of what that is like and how to be relatable to our audiences, because I went through this and I was like, it's kind of hard to do that with a room full of men. And yeah, for me, I feel like it's definitely tricky. I mean, Spies in Disguise has like at one point she was definitely Indian, and I definitely I think so. Yeah, like her. Marcy Capel, right? It's not. It's Capel in all of the media that went out for Spies in Disguise, Blue Skies film. And when they first started talking about it, I was like, she's Indian. I was so excited. Like, I would send in notes all the time about how we could make it really great and like really capitalize on this. And then slowly, I feel like everything about her was kind of becoming more muddled. And now it's like, okay, how do I find a way to be like, to send in my screening notes to talk about this and be like, it's okay for us to make an Indian character because that's important and we need this representation. So it's definitely tricky because you don't want to be overbearing in a lot of ways and annoy them, but at the same time, representation matters so much right now, and we need to be able to talk about it, and we need to be able to have them in our film.
I thought you.
I'm gonna still formulate my response.
Yeah. Okay. I knew this was coming, so I did some like. Yesterday or last night, I was just like, I shouldn't party tonight. I should think about. I should think about what should I say, and then so I wrote down some notes, and then all I can say is coming from my background. It's more subjective, so just for your reference. But I do say at Buck, it's pretty white male dominance mostly, especially for art directors. So, but there's an improvement because this year we just hired the first female art director. She's Indian.
Nice.
Yes. So that was awesome.
This year?
The first female art director for the New York office.
Wow.
The LA office has a few. I forgot how many, but there are.
Wow.
But then what else? And then I would say, yeah, that's a good thing. And then we do have a lot of diversity. We have a lot of countries: German, Belgium, Spain, France, Australia, Korea, China, Taiwan, India, Sweden, and Canada. There might be a few more. New Jersey.
Is this in the New York location or the whole company?
New York location. So basically, New York office is the mid size. We have 30 people, and LA has around 100. Sydney is our latest opened office. 4 years ish. We have 15 people. Yeah, and then I would say 3D is getting a little bit downwards because when I started intern, we had 3 females, but now they all moved, and it's only me with 7 other colleagues. They are all male.
Wow.
And 1 Indian male coworker, but rest are all white for sure. And then what else? Let me see. The 2D team are mostly, we have more women in the 2D. Animator designers, and then we have mostly female for producers, only 1 male for the production side. So I would say maybe 1/3 of the my coworkers are female. Yeah, but it's kind of lonely in 3D because it's kind of like a fraternity club sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to relate. But then it's good. I think we are getting better. And one thing that I like about my company is it's a flat structure. Because where I come from, in Taiwan, I can't speak for China or Korea, but in Taiwan, we are very people respect the hierarchy. So as a woman, even in Asia, it's also hard to talk to people. I would say in New York, it's pretty good. It's like a really open environment that you do embrace your own race and voice, which is, I would say, for animation, I prefer working in the West Coast, the West Country, not in East, because it's still difficult. Yeah, I can say more, but I guess
You guys pretty much.
It's all good. Yeah.
Lauren, you have to contribute.
Sure. No, you guys definitely covered most of what I would say. It's definitely hard to find your voice, especially in an editing room. Like, there's like few and far in between. As you mentioned, like the age gap is one thing. There's like a color gap, gender gap, and I've even seen certain like just differences in treatment, differences in pay. I think what's helpful for me is just like not allowing instances where I see like an injustice take place or like just any type of just like different type of treatment take place, that I just automatically just like call it for what it is, and I'll like not go along with it or not be quiet and just take a stance against it, and yeah, just recognize that like no one's perfect, we're all flawed, and just not like take it personal.
So for me, in navigating my career, at least in the beginning when I was really trying to get into studios, I was very hyper aware of how I was coming off, how I was being seen and just digested. So there were times when I first started interviewing, it's like I'd wear my hair straight, I'd wear my hair in a bun, it's like all those type of things. When I first started at Blue Sky 2, I was very, like I said, very conscious about how I was speaking. And I would say it took me about almost a year before I was like, I don't care, speaking in my slang or whatever, however I want. And I definitely can say that I felt even more received once I got more comfortable in my space in the studio environment. That's just like, there's a lot of stereotypes and stigmas around various races and cultures. So the last thing you want to do is like perpetuate it. But you have to be authentic and true to yourself and know that, well, people are still going to get to know me as an individual. However they perceive me is their thing. And if they want to get to know me, they get to know me. Once I just achieve that space, even in going forward and networking and talking and things like that, I just know who I am. I feel very comfortable. And that I feel like allows me to navigate the animation world and spaces just a lot better because I'm not worrying about that stuff anymore.
It's funny you say that. My interview at Blue Sky Studios, my first day even like stepping in the studio for an interview, I wore a suit, my hair in a bun, and the recruiter, whoever I interviewed, I think it was Deb, she was like, "We just want more personality." I think, but okay, you guys. The next second interview, I wore my hair in an afro and just like regular outfit, and they were like, "That's what we need." I'm like, all right, you guys got
I
it.
had the same thing. My first freelance was in San Francisco. I also show off like the New York style, all dress out, or like, and then wear like heels and stuff. And then it wasn't until we finished the whole project, my boss told me, "I thought you were just too corporate at the beginning." It's just like, yeah. And then later on, like you said, I do feel more comfortable lately, just as a person, as who I am. I guess I feel like once you're comfortable with who you are, everything comes naturally in a way.
Yeah, it's hard too when you have cultural things in
Oh,
your
yeah,
head
absolutely.
because
Oh, yeah,
it's
totally.
like in the back of my mind, it's like, oh, I'm not supposed to be speaking out because I wouldn't speak up to an elder. Why would I speak up in a room full of people that all have 20 plus years of experience than I do?
Absolutely.
So it's like, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
But you have to
Yeah,
overcome those things because your opinion matters just as much as anyone of them.
I also learned to ask questions because
Yeah.
I usually don't ask questions. I'm just like,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
then later on, people get annoyed when I ask again when they talk about A and then they talk about beating up and I said, "What is A?" And I start to like double check with that. But then I think people don't mind you ask questions as long as you like just try to learn. They wouldn't mind because I was afraid to ask. Yeah.
So with that being said, what opportunities would you suggest to women, but also creatives that come from similar racial, ethnic backgrounds that want to pursue animation? Do you think like there's any particular opportunities or advice?
Joy definitely covered it. It's just like, be yourself.
Why'd you
Your
mention me?
personality. Because I gotta, personality definitely, it just what sets you apart from like other people. So again, if you talk with a little bit of slang, my boy Dre is just like, he always is an advocate for like, don't switch it up. Like I'm gonna talk, I'm gonna be myself. And it's just, just bring your personality. I am also, a huge advocate on like the applications too. Like definitely come prepared. It definitely, like to your point, Joey, it's just like it really is important for the personality, but also too like knowing those applications because you don't want to get you there in your first day like just like struggling. So just be yourself, learn the programs through like all the different opportunities that are out there for free, and yeah.
It's also like a very network-based industry, so the more people you know, the better. So if you feel like there's somebody in the industry that you're seeing from afar, reach out to them. You'd be really surprised at how many people are willing to help you get there, to look at your resume ahead of time before you even hit that submit button. Like they will be there, they will talk you through it. I can't tell you how many times people from Academy have reached out to me that I didn't know or didn't really work with, but they're like, "Hey, I see that you're in the industry now. I'm trying to make it there. I want a similar path as you," and they're other like Indian women, oddly enough, and they just want that guidance and that reassurance that, like I can help you get there too, just as much as like anybody in the industry. I'm just like, very nice. They'll probably be willing to talk with you about it, look at your resume, look at your reel, like reach out, like just hit send and reach out for sure.
Can I say something? I think before reaching out, I think I learned something is generally if you can do some research about their credits and about what you want specifically, that will help the person, whoever you reach out to, easier. Because I got some message from students, they kind of unsure what they want, and then they haven't done their research about like say which pipeline they want to work for, or like specifically, it might be better to do some homework before that, because you won't agitate the person you're trying to ask questions to. So it's also, I like networking wise, I think it's good to go to like CGRAPH or CTN, which is happening next week. I don't know if any students know, but it's called Creative Network. Basically, you just go there and learn about like how animation studios make feature films, and then you meet people and you can work on passion projects together. Because I think nowadays it's also more about how many team building experience you had before. If you're a student, if you had the chance to work with other people for a short film, think about your portfolio. Then you got, like, say, I had a project with you, two of you, with a movie. I got 3 shots for my portfolio. So think about strategically, how do you build your portfolio, and how do you like meet people. And also here, Annie, the Animation Nights New York, it's also good to reach out. They're looking for volunteers, and SIGA had different chapters in Asia. This year's happened in Japan, and then last year was in Macau. Was it in Macau? I forgot. But what I think is there's so many resources there. The most important thing is you need your own voice first, and then you know what to do next, I think.
So, Namisha, earlier you mentioned Marcy, who's the character in Spies in Disguise. And I want to ask everyone, how as a community can we ensure or be a part of seeing more content that represents women or women represented more actually in films and in cartoons, etc.? But then not only women can we see a diverse representation of women, like what can we as a community do?
I think we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, first and foremost, like, we need to call it how it is. And I mean, I know looking back on a lot of the films that you love, it's because you find something in that character that represents you. And when you're looking at a range of all of these characters that you're developing in-house, and you're like, there's nobody in here that I see as like that I can relate to because they don't have my struggle or they don't have my ethnicity even. It's really hard for you to connect with that character on so many different levels. So like calling it how it is and talking about it, because so many of those meetings and things they will discuss ethnicity, race, and all of their issues and what comes with it. And if nobody in the room speaks up, then it's just going to slide into what is like the status quo, and that generally ends up being like a white male character, and that's not good enough. We have so much room for representation. And
I feel like it's a little bit hard for me because for us it's commercial, so we don't have a lot of characters that we're trying to develop over the months. It's the longest project we work on is probably 6 months, so we don't have time to actually build the characters. But I feel like, I don't know how to say it, but maybe the best thing is not to assume, like no assumptions for anything that people say, because what you assume doesn't mean that that person assumed the same thing, I guess. But we did have really bad example people with the client is we are building posters, render posters for different characters, different ethnicity, and then they demand the Asian girl to have more cat eyes, which is kind of like, okay, just kind of weird.
Yeah.
That's one thing that happened, but the rest is, I don't know. I'm not quite sure how to.
Yeah, I agree a lot with Lauren and Namisha in the fact that it is a lot of speaking up. More often than not, there's just usually one woman in a lot of these rooms. So it definitely is on us to continue, and you too, to continue working up so that we are in these rooms to contribute to a lot of the decisions that get made when it comes to characters and things like that. Because sometimes the character will go back and forth between being a male or female character, and then they flip races also upon that. So I think definitely if there are more diverse people in the room, to keep using this word, that will help seeing more of everyone represented. Because like we're just talking about race and gender in this sense, but then we're not really covering even all the different spectrums on this gender thing either. So I would say that. So before we open up for questions, Q&As, does anyone have any final remarks or just anything about anything that you want to say? Can I give it to the audience?
I just want to say Namisha's story is really awesome. I worked with her when she was an intern, and she just would ask like questions that was just like, wow, you're asking it just would like prompt me to like, oh, wait a second, let me double check. But she had just always asked like really good questions, and just seeing her growth from an intern, PA, coordinator, and now APM, I just think it's just awesome. So it is true, working, managing, and just asking questions. You can, this girl's a true testament for it.
And it definitely helps to have, to talk about it in a safe space. Like for me, my safe space was IMing Lauren or telling Monique and Jen and talking about it first and being like, is this right? Like, am I feeling like this is okay? Does this stick out to you as much as it sticks out to me? And then, as a group, we're like, like we talk about it and we creatively discuss it first. And then from there we can be like, okay, yeah, this is totally a note that needs to go to someone because 4 or 5 of us all don't feel like this is okay. So
I think being brave is important, but I think there's no, because I used to feel like kind of shameful to ask questions, and I wouldn't feeling like I'm not good enough to actually like ask this, or I feel stupid. But then it's good to be vulnerable in order to be brave and ask questions. And at the same time, you are helping yourself, you're educating yourself by asking people questions, I guess. Yeah. Thank you, ladies.
Thanks, Audrey.
All right, we have reached the end of the episode. I think this episode has been long enough, so I will not be doing an animation news recap. I'd like to thank you all for listening, for supporting. As always, I want to ask you guys to please rate and review in iTunes. I would like to get my ratings up. I would like more people to be exposed to this show. So please repost, reshare, tell your friends, whoever could be interested, check it out. I would like to thank Lamar Mackson again for being a guest on this episode. Also, all the people that participated in the DiverseToons panel from last November. It was Women in Animation, the SVA chapter, the MFA grad students, the BFA computer art students, all for being a part of this and helping us get that done last year. We did a lot in a short amount of time in 2018, so that was dope. Once again, my name is Monique. You can find me on all social media platforms at Simply Robotics, SIMPLYROBOTIX, also simplyrobotics.com. Up next, I am not too sure. I have my wheels are turning, and I have an idea for the, I guess, last episode of 2019. So I should definitely figure out what I'm gonna do for November, or this one may just take us into, and I'm just gonna save the best for last. So I can't, with this episode, I can't guarantee a November podcast, another one in 4 weeks. I can't guarantee it yet. I have so much good news that I really, 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 really want to share, but I just can't share yet. So just rock with me with this one. And if you're following me on Instagram, I am still doing, the goal is to finish that 100 days of stop motion by the end of the year. I have folded it into Inktober. I am about a week behind, so Inktober will definitely be rolling into November. So I really want to focus on completing that challenge, with so much that is happening in my life that I can't talk about yet. And then what I want to do, like I just said, for the end of the year podcast type of thing, because now it's almost a year of me doing this podcast, and I can say this, in the new year, want to do at least 2 episodes a month. So now I'm rambling and the episode's already long. So I already told y'all how to find me. Thank you for listening. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed on whatever platform that you listen to podcasts. Please, if you have an iPhone, you don't even have to subscribe on the iPhone, but just rate and leave a little comment or review, or rate, and it'll be greatly appreciated. So until next time, bye.